It's the autumn of 1347, and a ship has just docked in your harbor. You wander down to greet the sailors. This is a mistake. Half the crew is dead. The other half looks like they'd rather be. Within a week, your neighbors start dropping. You have no idea what this is. Neither does anyone else. This is the Black Death, and somehow you have to survive it. You just wanted a quiet life. Instead, you're living through the deadliest pandemic in human history. So where did this thing come from? Let's rewind a little. The plague rode in on trade. Ships from the east packed with silk, spices, and rats. The rats carried fleas. The fleas carried a bacterium, Yersinia pestis. A flea bites the rat dies, the flea gets hungry again. So it bites the next warm thing it can find, which is, unfortunately, you. It hit Sicily first, October 1347, the port of Messina. 12 Genoese ships pulled in, crammed with dying sailors. The city tried to throw them back out. Far too late. From there, it spread everywhere, fast. You start checking your armpits, constantly. Within about 4 years, it burns across the entire continent. So how do you know if you've caught it? Oh, you'll know. First comes a fever, then the swellings. Painful lumps in your neck, armpits, and groin. They're called buboes. That's where the word bubonic comes from. Now you know. Enjoy. They can swell up to the size of an egg, sometimes an apple. Then dark blotches start spreading across your skin. That is the Black Death. From first symptom to dead? Often just 3 days. Sometimes you go to bed healthy and simply don't wake up. You decide to stop sleeping forever. The lucky ones die quickly. That is genuinely the better option here. So, no pressure. Let's talk numbers. They are not comforting. The Black Death killed an estimated 25 to 50 million people in Europe. That is somewhere between a third and half of everyone alive. Look to your left. Now, look to your right. Statistically, one of the 3 of you is not making it. And it might just be the little brown guy in the middle. You do not love those odds. Whole villages emptied out. Some were never lived in again. Cities lost so many people, the streets went silent. The exact toll is still debated. Every one of the guesses is horrifying. Now, the medieval world had absolutely no idea what caused this. Germs wouldn't be discovered for another 500 years. So people invented theories. Confident, elaborate, completely wrong theories. Theory 1, bad air. They called it miasma. They believed disease was basically a smell you could breathe in. Theory 2, the planets did it. Blame the stars. A rare lineup of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars. Case closed, apparently. Theory 3, the crowd favorite. God is furious with you specifically. Given how things are going, honestly, hard to rule out. You apologize to the sky, just in case. Naturally, the cures were about as scientific as the theories. Doctors drained your blood to rebalance you. Bloodletting? It did not rebalance you. It just made you a weaker version of sick. They lanced the buboes. We are not going to dwell on that one. They told you to carry sweet-smelling herbs and flowers. Pretty posies to fight the bad air. Spoiler, did not work. Other doctors said fight the bad smell with an even worse smell. So people sat by the latrine and breathed in deeply. On purpose. You draw the line at sniffing sewers. Others rang church bells and fired cannons to shake the air clean. They lit fragrant bonfires in the streets. Cozy, useless. And then there is the truly tragic one. People decided cats and dogs were spreading the plague. So they got rid of them, in enormous numbers, which removed the one thing keeping the rat population in check. The rats. That carried the fleas. That carried the plague. Medieval medicine, consistently, confidently making it worse. You keep your cat quietly. Now you have seen the costume, long black robe, the beak. The plague doctor. That beak is stuffed with dried herbs. Because, remember, they thought the smell itself was the enemy. Quick honesty. Break. That iconic beak mask actually came later. It is really a 17th century look. But it's too iconic to skip. Either way, the doctor cannot help you. Nobody can. His main job is basically counting the sick. You wave the beak away. As things got worse, people got desperate and weird. Enter the Flagellants. Groups who march from town to town whipping themselves in public. The idea was to atone for humanity's sins and beg for mercy. It did not earn any mercy, just carried the plague to new towns. The church eventually told them to knock it off. Fear also curdled into blame. People went looking for someone to punish. Innocent people were scapegoated and persecuted. It got ugly. The plague didn't only kill people, it poisoned how they treated each other. You keep your head down. So how does society keep functioning through this? Mostly it doesn't. But a few places got one thing genuinely right: isolation. Ports started forcing arriving ships to wait offshore before landing. The wait was 40 days. In Venetian, 40 giorni. That is literally where we get the word quarantine. Turns out keeping sick people away from healthy people works. Revolutionary stuff. Nobody tell the sewer sniffers. Back in the towns, the dead had to be collected. Carts rolled through the streets. Bring out your dead. The dead went into large communal graves dug outside the town walls. There were simply too many. There was no other way. Families fled from each other. Parents left children. Children left parents. The social glue just dissolved. You, however, have a plan. And here's the twist. This is where being a total coward pays off. Brave people tended the sick. Brave people joined the crowds. Brave people, we remember them fondly. You run. You flee to a lonely little cottage far out in the empty countryside. You avoid crowds. You avoid strangers. You avoid absolutely everyone. You refuse to touch anyone. You barricade the door. You become a full-blown paranoid germaphobe. And it turns out that is exactly the correct strategy. Cowardice, finally useful. So you wait. Weeks pass, then months. And slowly, impossibly, the dying begins to slow down. By around 1351, the worst of the wave has finally passed. A third to a half of everyone you knew is gone. But the survivors inherit a strangely different world. With so few workers left, ordinary labor suddenly became precious. Peasants could demand better pay. The lords had to actually listen. The old rigid feudal order started to crack. The Black Death didn't just end lives, it reshaped the entire world. And you, against every possible odd, you are still alive. Somehow. Not because you were brave, because you were a paranoid little coward. And that, it turns out, was the smartest thing you ever did.